All right, so today we're going to dive into something that's kind of puzzling. Why do some super rich people, like the kind of folks who could buy a small island, why do they choose to live like they're, I don't know, clipping coupons?
Yeah, it is kind of strange, isn't it? You'd think they'd be all about, like, gold-plated everything and yachts and stuff. But it turns out it's way more interesting than that.
Way more interesting. And thankfully, we've got some really cool material to help us figure this out. So get ready for, like, a deep dive into the whole psychology of wealth. Why do some people with tons of it act like they don't?
Yeah, so one of the biggest things that keeps coming up is this whole idea of authenticity. Like, imagine being surrounded by people who might, maybe they like your money more than they like you. Must make it tough to connect with anyone, really connect.
Makes sense. It's like they're saying, hey, I'm not just a walking bank account, okay? I'm a real person.
Exactly. And there's some pretty big names who do this. Take Mark Zuckerberg. I mean, Facebook, right? That's got to be screaming billionaire. But you see him and he's wearing like jeans and a T-shirt, even at like fancy events.
Yeah, I get that, especially with social media and everything. People want to think you're like one of them. Like,
right.
Oh, he's a regular dude, just happens to own like half the internet.
Right. And that image, that down-to-earth thing, super powerful these days. Way more than just showing off your cash, I think.
It's almost like a statement, right? I don't need to prove anything.
Yeah, exactly. Which actually kind of leads into another reason, all the pressure and expectations that come with being loaded. It's like there's this whole script people think you got to follow.
Oh, totally. Like, okay, you're rich. Now go buy the mansion and the sports cars and take like 1 million vacations.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you got to prove you're rich by spending it all in this really specific way. But some people, they're like, nah, I'm good. They'd rather just do their own thing, even if that means driving a regular car and living in a normal house.
It's like, hey, I could have all that fancy stuff, but I just don't want it. Kind of refreshing, actually.
Yeah, it is. I mean, look at Warren Buffett, one of the richest dudes on the planet, right? Still lives in the same house he bought ages ago, drives a car that doesn't scream billionaire.
Exactly. It's like he's saying, that's just not what's important to me.
Powerful stuff, right? Choosing what matters to him, not what society tells him to do, makes you rethink what wealth really means.
So true. Okay, but let's switch gears for a sec. What about those who are after? Like simplicity, like they're rich, but they want a simple life.
Yeah, this one throws people off. You'd think, okay, you got all this money, go crazy. But for some folks, real happiness, it doesn't come from stuff.
Yeah, it's almost like when you can't have anything, things lose their shine,
Exactly. That thrill kind of goes away. You got to find meaning somewhere else.
I think about like Steve Jobs, Apple, right? Mega company. But he always had that black turtleneck, the jeans, like a uniform.
And it wasn't just for show either. I mean, Jobs was all about design, about making things simple and beautiful. That minimalism, it was like reflected in his whole life, not just his clothes.
Yeah, it's like clutter, whether it's stuff or just like mental clutter, it gets in the way of what really matters.
Okay, but now get this. Some rich people, they pretend to be, well, not rich. They want to seem like they have less.
Whoa, hold on. Really? Why would they do that?
It's about empathy. They want to connect with people who aren't as well off.
Oh, that's actually really cool.
Yeah.
It's like saying, hey, money doesn't make me different. I get it.
Exactly. It's about finding that common ground. But you got to imagine, it's got to be tough to relate to people when they think you can't possibly understand their struggles,
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
So it's like they're trying to show they get it.
Right. And sometimes they take it even further, like volunteering at homeless shelters or living on a super tight budget for a while.
Wow, that's commitment.
Yeah.
It's like they're saying, look, I don't just want to throw money at problems. I want to understand them.
Exactly. Okay, but here's the thing. Sometimes being rich, it's not all sunshine and roses. It can actually be kind of hard.
Oh, come on. Too much money. What's hard about that?
Well, turns out money doesn't buy happiness. At least, not always. Our research shows it can actually make people feel, like, guilty, afraid of being judged, even lonely.
Oh, wow. I never thought about it like that. Like you're worried people only like you for your money.
Exactly. And that can make you feel really isolated.
It's almost like it's a burden, having all that wealth.
Yeah, sometimes it is. It can really mess with your head, like you're constantly wondering, are they being nice to me or is it just about the money?
Yeah, it's like you can never really be sure if people are genuine.
Right. And that brings us to another reason some rich people stay out of the spotlight. Fear, plain and simple. Fear of being used. Fear of being a target.
So it's not just about avoiding like the gold diggers.
Yeah.
It's deeper than that, right? It's about protecting yourself.
Yeah. Like, who can you trust? Who's really got your back? That kind of thing. And it can make you want to just hide away from the world. Like, remember Howard Hughes, that aviator businessman guy?
Oh, yeah, super rich, right?
Crazy rich. But he basically became a hermit. Totally paranoid.
It's like his money trapped him.
In a way, yeah. Shows that money can actually push people away.
So it's like a double-edged sword. Makes you think about all that empathy stuff we were talking about.
Yeah.
Some people are trying to break down those walls, connect with others.
Totally. And that's where this whole spiritual and philosophical side comes in. It's like, okay, you're rich, but what are your values? How do you actually live your life?
So it's not just about what you can buy. It's about what you choose to do.
Exactly. Like, you could be living in a mega mansion, but maybe you choose to live modestly, or donate a ton to charity, or focus on experiences instead of, like, buying a bunch of stuff.
Like Oprah.
Yeah.
I mean, she's definitely got the money, but she talks a lot about giving back, using her influence to help others.
Exactly. It's about making a difference, right? Not just hoarding your wealth. And there are other philosophies too, like Stoicism. They're big on simplicity, not getting attached to possessions and all that.
So like a rich Stoic, they might see their money as a way to, I don't know, help their family or follow their passions.
Yeah. It's crazy, right? All these different things like authenticity, empathy, wanting a simple life makes you realize being rich is way more complicated than just having a lot of cash.
For sure. It's not all diamonds and champagne like people think.
Not at all. It really shows that even with all the money in the world, people still crave those basic things, you know?
Yeah.
Connection, purpose, meaning.
So in a way, the money almost doesn't matter.
Kind of, yeah. It makes you think about what really matters to everyone, not just the super rich. Like, what brings you joy? What makes your life feel, I don't know, worthwhile?
Whoa, deep stuff. And we've only scratched the surface here. But before we go too deep, let's just like recap for a sec. Authenticity, that pressure to fit in, wanting a simpler life, empathy, the downside of being rich, fear, and then all the spiritual and philosophical stuff. Whew. It's kind of wild to think about, right? Like, these people could be living in a whole other world, but they choose to live by, like, a different set of rules.
Yeah, it's like they're saying, look, I might have all this money, but that doesn't mean I have to buy into, you know, all the things that come with it.
Right. They're like, nah, I'm going to do my own thing, which honestly is pretty inspiring, don't you think?
Totally. It makes you realize we all have the power to, like, define our own success. Like, what does that even mean? What really matters to you?
It's definitely made me think about, like, my own relationship with money, you know? It's so easy to get caught up in that whole I need more kind of thinking.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But what if, like, real happiness comes from something else entirely?
Right. Like experiences or helping others or just, I don't know, appreciating what you already have.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a huge shift in perspective. It's like, instead of always chasing after stuff, you focus on, like, living a life that's actually meaningful.
Mind-blowing, honestly.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is, this isn't just about rich people. This applies to everyone.
Totally. We're all searching for the same things deep down. Connection, purpose, meaning. That's universal.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, we got to ask you, if money was no object, how would you live differently? What would be important to you?
Think about it. Really think about it. What experiences would you have? What kind of impact would you want to make on the world?
It's a big question, but it's worth asking. And who knows? You might discover that true wealth isn't about what you own. It's about how you choose to live your life.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Thanks for joining us on this journey, everyone. We hope this deep dive got you thinking about wealth, happiness, and what it really means to live a fulfilling life. Until next time.